He's their team leader in scoring and rebounding. Out of the Southern Conference, Samford is off to its best start in more than 20 years, while the Mastodons haven't lost a non-conference home game here in each of their last 24 times out. We've got starting lineups and the opening tip coming up next.
Well, regardless of the sport or event that you're covering, preparation is a big key. You can't just show up, sit down, and call an event, or you can, but you're not going to be doing it justice. And me personally, I never feel comfortable in a situation like that. And I think if you're not comfortable and confident, it's going to affect your performance. There definitely are differences, though, in the approach to preparation. Let's say a sport like baseball, where you have a game every single day, and you're seeing the same team day in, day out. You can build up an accumulation of knowledge. So I don't necessarily need to handwrite notes about Tin Caps players every single day, because there's just stuff that I uselessly, for the most part, have stored in my head. Same thing kind of applies. Calling games for the Mastodons don't necessarily need to do as much preparation work on our guys all the time. But boy, I think it's important to be able to have the numbers, so there's a deal of time that's spent just updating the stats on players individually and as a team. That said, while stats tell part of the story of an individual or a team or a game, ultimately numbers can bog things down to some point, or they just don't have as much of an impact. I think if you're trying to have a good broadcast, you're looking to tell stories, and so I'll Google the name of every single player on a team, in hopes of finding a human interest story, some kind of hook that'll make a player interesting. And, sometimes you're playing a smaller school, or a guy who is a freshman without much playing time. There's maybe never been a feature article written on that player. However, I'll look up then what their hometown is known for, who else went to the same high school as them. Anything that would make it interesting. I suppose I have in mind, like for example, someone in the audience, like maybe my own mom, who's not a big sports fan, but you don't have to be a sports fan to find stories about players and teams compelling. So try to read up on the team as much as possible. Try to talk to people if you can, whether it's a coach or players or people around the team, so that you're able to really be educated and pass along that information to the audience. I'll try to also jot down information about the team, whether it's the school's history, when they've been to the NCAA tournament in the past, kind of what's at stake for them in the game. Are they trying to continue a winning streak, end a losing streak? In some cases, you've got like a rivalry history. So information like that. And then every once in a while, I'll try to even just jot down I'll jot down something like what I need to say going into every commercial break. This is Mastodon basketball from Learfield.
They slide through the screen, or they'll get over the top of the screen, as you just saw Kason Harrell there.
Dylan Carl down low, stuffs Brandon Austin. Samford keeps it though. Shot clock ticks down towards 10. Sharkey, who they call Shark, often is in attack mode. Here it's Gordon driving, high off the glass, no, and Carl tips it into the direction of John Konchar.
I think whenever I'm calling a game, there's at least a twofold objective. One would be to inform. So as we're talking about, whether that's sharing someone's story or just providing more factual information about a school or an individual, etc. But every bit as important, if not more important, is also to entertain, because why are people tuned in to sports, following sports? It's entertainment, it's a distraction from everyday life. So really, regardless of the quality of the game, because that's out of our control on the broadcast side, I think you always kind of want a game that's down to the wire, that's cleanly played. But that's not always going to be a guarantee, and so regardless of what's unfolding during the event, you want to make sure that it's still lively, I think I always try to remind myself, especially in situations, and this maybe applies more to during the baseball season when traveling with the team on the road, and you can go to some spots where maybe the accommodations aren't first class, or whether it's weather concerns, whatever, you're just not having, maybe it's just as simple as not having a good day. I try to make sure that I don't let that run into the broadcast, because if I'm not enjoying myself and I'm not having a good time, how could I expect anyone who's watching or listening to enjoy themselves too? For everyone behind the scenes on our Mastodons broadcast crew, this is John Nolan saying thanks and so long from Fort Wayne.